Alright, glad to be back here again to see you and welcome back to That Money Compass with me, Daddy, as your host. As of this recording, currently it's raining outside, so hopefully it's not too loud and you can hear my voice, hopefully. Alright, so where do I even start? Boy, oh boy. From my last video until today, there has been a lot of things happening within just a short period of time, like literally all over the world just because of President Trump, really. But in today's video, I would like to talk about Finfluencers, be it the proper ones, meaning they actually had some background related to finance, economic, and related sectors, as well as those that are just being popular. Basically, they are called influencers and not really have any background in any of the sectors. Now, why I decided to start with this is because if you have followed my X or Twitter, as well as my Instagram, you would have seen me commenting and making shorts or reels commenting about Finfluencers before. If you don't know, I do have a little bit of beef in a sense with Finfluencers, and the peak was when I was a financial consultant. I started just like all of you, basically, right? So my main interest growing up was always in IT and engineering. But when you grow up alone where your family is not around, you will have to start caring about your own personal finance, and that's when I started developing the interest. I had always liked money, but I never thought it would bring me up to this point, which is, I think, is a good thing. Alright, without further getting distracted, let me start. The market had just gone kaboom again. Alright, just look at this. So as usual, I was browsing for news on different social media platforms. Then I saw this. Alright, so basically this Finfluencer posted a reply that he or she did for someone who asked that question. Alright, so basically just like any other followers, they were surprised and they were like, why did everything turn red today? Like, why so sudden, right? When everything was green, right, before that. So now, whatever the person typed, they are fact. So basically, the person replied that consumer sentiment index, existing home sales data, which is not very good, Walmart's outlook, which is bad, among several other things. So consumer sentiment down because of the outlook given by Walmart, which is sometimes taken as the cue for how we are doing, because they deal with consumer related stuff, right? They sold them. And some of them are actually like daily necessities and stuff. There's important stuff. So if their demand is down, it could simply mean we are pulling back, like you and me, and saving up. And this could further mean something else that can explain about the situation of the economy. And this goes on as it links from one to another. But the matter is not this. So this post, when it was taken, it was posted about 9 hours ago, which I would say a little later, I'll tell you why later, you'll see why later. This could mean that the person posted it either late, but also I think that usually Finfluencers would post as on time as possible, so as to catch that moment of hype kind of thing. And this doesn't apply to just Finfluencers, other content creators as well. Whenever they do stuff that's related to news per se, we want to be as updated as possible, so that's why they try to make the post as early as possible, right? Except me, maybe. But I don't really see myself as an influencer yet. Yeah, so now at this moment, because I do read quite a lot of news, I noticed that he missed out something else, even though there's among several other things. Like, that's what he says, right, on the reply. But considering the event is pretty big, I don't think he would miss this particular thing that he didn't mention. So what is that event? Crypto. A pretty big platform, Bybit, was just hacked, and that is a big deal. If you look back at the history of crypto platforms being hacked, people just didn't like it, right? So now Bybit, this is a big platform. A lot of traders out there, they actually use Bybit as well. I mean, crypto trader, to be more specific. So the news are everywhere. And I found it weird that he didn't mention it, but it was alright. So I just let it be. I didn't think much about it then, because back then I was just reading news, so it's just like a past news to me. Then I saw these posts by another Finfluencer. So basically, he posts about how the Bybit incident happened, and then subsequently he posted this. So these are in order, all right. So he first posts about the Bybit event, then after that he posts about the market, which is basically all red. So this second so-called Finfluencer posted this earlier than the other post that I chanced upon later, right? So why I said so is because the first one was posted like about 9 hours ago, but this particular Finfluencers posted about the market rate and then the event for the Bybit actually before that. So it was it was earlier, right? So to me, when I saw this, it just doesn't make sense that if you as a Finfluencer and if you know about the event and you just didn't mention it at all. I mean, if you are a financial consultant, there are certain rules that we have to follow. Like for example, especially for my former company, they specifically mentioned that we cannot post anything about crypto because crypto being a risky asset. So we just cannot give advice on crypto, or we cannot even mention it, because I remember I made a post about a blog post about the what was it called again? The Terra Luna crash. It's an article, and it was more of like a learning lesson kind of thing, and I was asked to take down basically. So it was that strict. And for influencers like us, we are free to mention about anything as long as it's not about promoting products and stuff like that, especially in Singapore, because only advisors and agents can do that, a licensed one basically. So for influencers, we can do anything pretty much, right? And that's how there are a lot of influencers got into trouble when they promoted FTX and FTX went down. And for this case, when I saw this happening, it just suddenly hit me. Like, we all know that crypto world is quite integrated to our investment world by now, especially after President Trump was elected and officially became a president in January 2025. Researchers have from time to time trying to make out the correlation between the TradFi world and the DeFi world. And at this point, I have to say that there are some correlations, except crypto is still being viewed as a risk-on thing. These include Bitcoin, which a lot of institutions and even the governments are trying to make it out as like gold. All right. So me being a new content creator and started to learn about all these things, whereby whatever happens in the world, you have to be the fastest to post about it. But I'm just not it currently, as it is not my goal for this channel at this point. So suddenly I started to remember why I stopped following a lot of influencers up to this point. So fun fact, I have stopped following quite a lot of influencers. I mean, I still follow them, but I no longer watch their content as often unless it is something that really caught my eyes. So what I follow now are more of those people who actually have background in the economics, finance sectors, because what I'm looking for now is more of like factual information. They are real experiences in the finance world that I also can learn and pick up, right? So, but I still do follow the rest, like the rest of the influencers and influencers, just for the news, because they do try to catch up on the news as early as possible. And this is exactly why influencers are not always right. I mean, you can follow them, but you cannot take it to heart 100%. When I was a financial consultant, I spent a lot more time following news and forums, right? Because that's just my job. I need to do a lot of research for my clients, right? For the amount of money that they have entrusted to me. Because now, why forums? Because forums are places where people ask a lot of questions, and you can sometimes get like a trend what people are currently going through. But there's one thing that I've always noticed. They take the opinions, the replies from these forums, from these people in the forums, and basically they are taking the mass as the ultimate consultant. Although nowadays agents are active there too, hoping they can get like a client or two from the mass, right? And I realized that the mass always take this as the final advice instead of thinking for themselves and stuff. So basically a lot of people comment and then they'll be like, okay, I'll just follow this, right? Because there were times where I remember like I'll be asking people, why are you saving 20%, 30% of your savings? And then they'll be like, oh, that's what the internet says. There's this formula, 30%, 20%, 50%, or whatever it is. And I'll be like, are you serious? You've got to think of for yourself, So I understand that if you are new, you would prefer to ask people, and forums are making this process easier. I was at your shoes before, so I completely understand. But please do your own research as well. I mean, part of the reasons why I left Pick an Agent is because I just couldn't stand people who think what people say is more correct than what I have told them, considering the fact that I did a lot of research, I spent a lot of time, and I customized like a bespoke solution for each one, and you're just brushed off just like that? Like, come on. Like, it was just a frustrating experiences, I have to say. But anyway, back to the topic. Sorry, I digress again. Taking those example, we tend to want to find out the reasons why market behaves as it is, right? So why the price goes up, why the price goes down, and Finfluencers are typically the first people that we go to. I mean, I'm guilty of it as well, because true economists and researchers, they just don't reply to people like us. Even those really popular Finfluencers like Adam Khoo or Chicken Genius, they just don't reply to people like us because we are just nothing to them, right? We are not students, we never buy any courses, so why would they reply to us, right? And on top of that, sometimes Finfluencers can explain and break down things so that we can understand easily and better, like about a certain things. But the issue comes when they provide less information than what is actually happening. So that's the con, like one of the cons. So now bear in mind that the posts are not done by Singapore influencers. They are actually done by people outside of Singapore. So this is applicable worldwide. So from my perspective, what happened is that the crypto world affected the traders' sentiment. And this affect both the TradFi and the DeFi, all right? Then, coupled with the consumer sentiment issue, it is like a double down thing. And it doesn't help when Donald Trump's activities so far, like the tariffs and stuff, at this point, it feels like people are just 50-50 about it. So hence the bright red across the market. Now, I want to bring up other experiences that I've had with other influencers, and some are legit, some to me is just influencers. So the first is this, Josh Tan. He is a Singaporean YouTuber, but he is also a financial consultant. Recently, he posted this about Mapletree Industrial Trust REIT, which is a Singapore REIT. Basically, he mentioned about how this REIT crashed again when he actually had bought it. He basically had interest in this and he believed in it and he bought it and he crashed. Now, this is not the first time that he posted about how he bought a stock. Then he posted why, and then the stock goes down afterwards. This is not the first time. He is a consultant. In fact, he has his own company. So it's just part of his job to do a research, then draw his own conclusion, and then apply it to himself other than to his clients, which to me, I think it is good because it's not like he's just saying something that he actually doesn't apply to himself. Although I believe that he would have done probably much better for his clients, because he would have been more objective and also more careful, just like how I was when I was a consultant, because those money are not his own money, so he ought to be more careful. But this post is about his own portfolio, so I think it's fine. But what I'm trying to say here is that even if he considered a professional, they still can make mistakes. Nobody can predict. Nobody. And the most obvious ones are the economists, as well as the predictions that are like done by the banks. You know how the banks like to say, okay, the economy in 2025 is going to be like this, 2026 is going to be like this, and that, and this and that. Yeah, those kind of predictions, I typically don't really follow them as well. So, if such finfluencers can make mistakes, what about these people? Alright, I'm not biased or anything, but I can't fit every single finfluencers in this post, just that I found this, particularly this one funny, by Stephen Graham. Okay, one thing that I always found it funny is that they definitely reuse their facial expressions. A lot of content creators does that. But these posts, you can't buy a home in 2024, in 2025, in 2026, and who knows, maybe next time he'll post about you still cannot buy a house in 2027, 2028, 2029. Yeah, basically you just cannot buy a house. Like, come on. How does this make sense, right? Like, doesn't this bother you at all? Now, another Singaporean influencer in the personal finance world. I'm actually made a reels out of it. Go and watch it if you haven't. I actually commented, but fortunately they replied and concurred with whatever I said. For these kind of influencers, I tend to be stricter because usually they would have more followers than those who are legit economists and stuff, because they made their contents more fun, so naturally people just flock to them more. Again, this one is another example of why I think finfluencers are not always right. Alright, last but not least is this, Adam Khoo. Adam is a pretty big finfluencer in Singapore, and I personally like his posts and teachings because his principles and reasonings are sound. And if there are theories that I don't usually agree or don't know, his reasonings do help me to think twice sometimes. So, however, that doesn't mean the person is perfect. Nobody is perfect. He sometimes posts tweets that I just don't agree with, especially when he is sort of making fun of the matter at hand, when it may not be 100% factual. So the first one is this. This is about TikTok, when it was banned in the US. We all know how that kind of caused chaos because there are people whose businesses depend on that platform. So I personally just can't take it as a joke when things are pretty serious. But what irked me was that he's part of a boomer. I mean, considering his age. Then he posted this when he lives in Singapore. Like, the ban doesn't even affect Singapore at all. And of course, there were a lot of other people disagreeing with him as well. The second one is this, which I think is a bigger one than TikTok, considering I actually respected Hindenburg, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, for their research. They did quite a number of research on big or hard companies, which is pretty amazing. I mean, their reasoning. The one I remember the most was the one for Adani. It was quite impressive, in my opinion. So if you look at the post, basically this post of his actually is not factual. None of the news out there, even Hindenburg's own post, mentioned about them closing down because they just went kaboom. But Adam just jumped the gun and said it was because they are just one of those short sellers that just went bankrupt because they were wrong in the shorting, which is pretty common. Like, yes, this happens a lot to short sellers who just predicted wrongly and then they short it, but the market went up instead, so they went kaboom, right? But for this case, it is not. So I just had to comment on it. Now, obviously, from the comment, you can see that there are people who actually say that he's spreading misinformation and stuff like that. But of course, he doesn't reply as usual. So I just don't understand why he has to make such posting. I understand that he always has something against the short sellers, considering he did trading before, he short things before, hence he had experience on it. And he also teaches how, you know, we shouldn't be short sellers, we just should long stuff because that's just how market behaves. But to take such case and make a so-called false statement is just too much in my opinion. I mean, Adam Khoo is big in the finance world. He's an educator, he teaches, he posts educative stuff, he has big following, and I don't know, I just feel like it rubs me the wrong way. And these are why I just have issues with Finfluencers in general. Like, if you are interested to know more on why I stopped watching Finfluencers, do leave a comment down below and like this video, and I'll make a video out of it if the interests are high. So yeah, in conclusion, please do your own research too. I've always said this when I was a financial consultant, when I was active in writing blog articles, and I will say it again. Personal finance is called personal for a reason. Always think if it is applicable to you, and if you want to apply it, think how you can change it so that it fits your situation. Alright, so okay, that was a really lengthy rant. I would like to thank you for watching this video, especially if you have come to this point. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like this video, please do leave a like and leave a comment. It will help me a lot and it will help this channel a lot. And also, I do read comments. So yeah, I will see you on the next one. Stay hydrated and bye bye.